In the annals of modern history, few figures have wielded power with the singular authority of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. At 86 years old, his reign, spanning over 3 decades, has shaped not only the destiny of a nation but the very geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. Yet, as the year 2025 unfolds, a profound shift is palpable, signaling a critical juncture for the Islamic Republic. Recent weeks have witnessed a series of devastating blows to the core of his regime. Precision Israeli airstrikes have systematically eliminated key figures within his inner circle. These were not mere military commanders, they were the architects of Iran's strategic depth, the custodians of its most sensitive programs, and the trusted confidants who translated Khamenei's vision into action. Hussein Salami, Emir Ali Hajizadeh, Mohammad Kazemi, names synonymous with the Revolutionary Guard's might and Iran's missile prowess, are now etched into a growing list of casualties. Their demise leaves a void, a palpable absence at the very heart of the Islamic Republic's command structure. For the first time in decades, Iran's most powerful man appears increasingly isolated, his once impenetrable circle fractured, his strategic options narrowing. This moment marks a critical juncture, demanding a deeper historical and political analysis of how Iran arrived at this precipice. Ayatollah Khamenei did not merely inherit the mantle of leadership, he meticulously engineered a system designed for absolute, unyielding control. This intricate web of power extends far beyond the conventional branches of government, permeating every facet of Iranian society and statecraft. His authority, rooted in the doctrine of Velayat-e-Faqih, the guardianship of the jurist, grants him ultimate say over the armed forces, the judiciary, and even the electoral process, ensuring that all levers of power ultimately report to his office. This theological political framework establishes the supreme leader as the ultimate arbiter of all state affairs, a concept unique in modern governance. Crucially, Khamenei's vision has always prioritized Iran's foreign policy, viewing it as an extension of the revolution's ideological imperative. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, a parallel military force loyal directly to the supreme leader, became the primary instrument for projecting this influence abroad. Through the IRGC's Quds Force, Iran cultivated a vast network of proxies and allies, from Lebanon to Yemen, establishing what became known as the axis of resistance. This system, built on ideological fervor and strategic patience, was designed to be resilient, to withstand external pressures and internal dissent. It represented a deliberate strategy of asymmetric warfare, leveraging non-state actors to project power and deter adversaries without direct conventional military confrontation. However, as 2025 dawns, the very foundations of this meticulously constructed edifice are showing signs of profound strain. Regional allies, once steadfast, exhibit growing signs of fatigue and independent maneuvering. The systematic targeting of trusted generals, the very pillars of the IRGC's operational capacity, represents an unprecedented challenge to the regime's security apparatus. The long-held dream of exporting the Islamic Revolution, once a potent force across the Middle East, now appears increasingly distant, overshadowed by the harsh realities of geopolitical shifts and internal vulnerabilities. This erosion of key personnel and strategic efficacy poses a significant challenge to the continuity and effectiveness of Iran's regional projection. To truly comprehend Iran's current isolation, one must journey back to a pivotal moment in the 20th century when the nation stood at a dramatically different crossroads. For decades, under the Pahlavi dynasty, particularly Mohammad Reza Shah, Iran was a staunch ally of the West, a strategic bulwark against Soviet expansion, and a major oil producer. The Shah's ambitious modernization programs, though often autocratic, aimed to transform Iran into a regional powerhouse, aligning it closely with American interests. Tehran was a vibrant, cosmopolitan capital, a symbol of Western influence in the heart of the Middle East. Yet, beneath this veneer of progress and stability, deep currents of discontent simmered. Economic disparities, political repression, and a perceived erosion of traditional Islamic values fueled widespread resentment. The Shah's close ties with the United States, coupled with his authoritarian rule, alienated vast segments of the population, particularly the religious establishment and the burgeoning urban poor. His secularizing reforms were often seen as an affront to Iran's cultural and religious identity, creating a profound disconnect between the ruling elite and the populace. This simmering discontent would eventually erupt into a seismic upheaval. In 1979, after years of escalating protests and revolutionary fervor, millions of Iranians, united by a shared desire for change, rose up against the monarchy. The Shah, facing insurmountable opposition, fled the country. Into this vacuum, from exile in Paris, returned Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, a charismatic cleric whose vision transcended mere regime change. He sought nothing less than a complete societal and political transformation, a revolution that would fundamentally reshape Iran's identity and its role in the world. Khomeini's leadership provided a powerful ideological framework for the popular uprising, channeling diverse grievances into a unified revolutionary movement. The establishment of the Islamic Republic of Iran was an event of monumental historical significance, unlike anything the region had ever witnessed. It was a theocracy, a state where political authority was inextricably intertwined with religious doctrine, where the supreme leader, a religious jurist, held ultimate power. Iran, under Khomeini, declared itself not merely a nation-state but a missionary, a vanguard for a new Islamic order. This foundational principle, enshrined in its constitution, fundamentally altered the nature of governance in the Middle East. This revolutionary zeal was not confined within its borders. Much like France had historically exported liberalism or America had championed democracy, Iran sought to export its unique brand of Islamic revolution. This ambition, rooted in the belief that the Islamic Republic offered a true path to justice and liberation for oppressed Muslims worldwide, sent shockwaves across the Middle East. It particularly terrified the region's established monarchies and secular regimes, especially the Sunni-led states like Saudi Arabia, who viewed Iran's revolutionary ideology as an existential threat to their own legitimacy and stability. The ideological schism between revolutionary Shia Iran and the conservative Sunni Arab states would define regional dynamics for decades to come, fostering a deep-seated rivalry for regional hegemony. The concept of exporting the revolution was not merely rhetorical, it manifested in tangible support for various movements and groups across the Muslim world. This proactive foreign policy, driven by ideological conviction, directly challenged the Westphalian state system prevalent in the region. It positioned Iran as a revolutionary power, distinct from traditional nation-states, and set the stage for enduring regional conflicts and proxy confrontations. The nascent Islamic Republic's revolutionary fervor was almost immediately put to the test. The first major challenge came not from its ideological rivals in the Gulf, but from its western neighbor, Iraq. In September 1980, Saddam Hussein, the secular Sunni dictator ruling over a Shia-majority Iraq, launched a full-scale invasion of Iran. His motives were complex: to seize disputed territories, to prevent the spread of Iran's revolution to Iraq's Shia population, and to assert Iraqi dominance in the Gulf. The invasion was also tacitly encouraged by several Arab states and Western powers wary of Iran's revolutionary expansionism. What followed was one of the longest, bloodiest, and most devastating conventional wars of the 20th century. The Iran-Iraq War, lasting 8 years, claimed hundreds of thousands of lives on both sides, decimated infrastructure, and left an indelible scar on both nations. Despite the immense human and material cost, Iran's revolution, against all odds, survived. From the ashes of this brutal conflict, a new, pragmatic, and enduring strategy emerged: the cultivation of proxy forces. Unable to directly confront its adversaries on all fronts, Iran began to empower and arm non-state actors across the region. This strategic shift was a direct consequence of the war's lessons, highlighting the need for asymmetric capabilities. This strategy gave birth to Iran's so-called axis of resistance. From the formation of Hezbollah in Lebanon, a powerful Shia militia and political party, to the backing of various groups in Iraq and Syria, and later the Houthis in Yemen, Iran meticulously built a network of allies. These proxies served multiple purposes: to project Iranian influence without direct military intervention, to deter potential attacks on Iran itself, and to counter American and Saudi influence across the Islamic world. This asymmetric warfare doctrine became the cornerstone of Iran's regional foreign policy, allowing it to exert significant leverage despite its conventional military limitations. It provided a cost-effective means to challenge regional power balances and extend Iran's strategic reach. Following the passing of Ayatollah Khomeini in 1989, a period of relative pragmatism and internal focus emerged in Iran. Presidents like Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani and Mohammad Khatami, both figures associated with reformist or pragmatic factions, prioritized economic reconstruction after the war and sought to improve Iran's international standing through diplomacy. Rafsanjani focused on rebuilding the economy, while Khatami championed a dialogue among civilizations, attempting to soften Iran's revolutionary image abroad. For a time, this approach yielded some success, fostering a sense of cautious optimism about Iran's future trajectory and its potential reintegration into the global community. However, the geopolitical landscape was irrevocably altered in 2003 with the US-led invasion of Iraq and the subsequent toppling of Saddam Hussein's regime. This event, while removing Iran's long-standing nemesis, inadvertently created a power vacuum that Iran was uniquely positioned to exploit. Suddenly free from its most formidable conventional military threat, Tehran seized the moment. It deepened its engagement within Iraq, strengthening its political and military influence over the newly emerging Shia-dominated government and various Iraqi militias. This expansion solidified Iran's presence across the Shia Crescent, a strategic arc stretching from Tehran through Baghdad, Damascus, and Beirut. The removal of Saddam also eliminated a key regional counterweight, allowing Iran to expand its influence with less immediate opposition. Simultaneously, Iran's clandestine nuclear program, which had been developing for years, began to draw international scrutiny. The pursuit of nuclear capabilities, ostensibly for peaceful energy purposes but widely suspected of having military dimensions, became a central point of contention with the West. This period marked a regression from the Reformist era, as hardliners gained ascendancy, viewing the nuclear program as a symbol of national sovereignty and a deterrent against external aggression. The nuclear issue would increasingly isolate Iran on the global stage, leading to crippling sanctions and heightened regional tensions. The perceived threat of a nuclear-armed Iran further solidified international opposition and fueled regional anxieties. For decades, Iran's strategic rise, fueled by its proxy network and nuclear ambitions, seemed an unstoppable force. Its influence permeated the Levant, the Gulf, and beyond, challenging the established regional order. Yet, by 2023, even this momentum began to show signs of faltering. A surprising diplomatic breakthrough, brokered by China, saw Saudi Arabia and Iran restore diplomatic ties after years of bitter rivalry. This rapprochement, followed by similar moves from the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain, signaled a significant shift in regional dynamics. These Gulf states, once staunchly opposed to Iran, began to prioritize de-escalation and economic stability over continued confrontation. These overtures were not a testament to Iran's triumph, but rather a pragmatic recognition by Gulf states that isolating Iran had failed to curb its influence and had instead perpetuated instability. The region, weary of proxy wars and ideological confrontations, was beginning to prioritize economic development and de-escalation. The Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab states, also played a role, creating new regional alignments that subtly pressured Iran. Despite all the revolutionary rhetoric and the projection of power, Iran found itself increasingly out of step with the region moving towards a new era of cautious diplomacy and economic integration. The illusion of an ever-expanding sphere of influence began to dissipate, revealing a nation whose revolutionary zeal was increasingly at odds with the evolving geopolitical realities. Now, in 2025, Ayatollah Khamenei stands at a critical juncture, witnessing the slow, painful fragmentation of the very empire he spent 35 years meticulously reinforcing. The systematic elimination of his closest allies and strategic masterminds has left gaping holes in his command structure, eroding the institutional memory and operational capacity of the IRGC. These losses are not easily replaced, impacting the cohesion and effectiveness of Iran's most critical security and foreign policy apparatus. His proxies, once seemingly invincible, now appear vulnerable, exposed to direct attacks and facing growing internal and external pressures. The sustainability of the axis of resistance is increasingly questioned as its key architects are removed. The grand vision of a unified, Shia-led Islamic awakening, once a powerful ideological magnet, has largely failed to materialize. The Islamic world, once captivated by Iran's revolutionary fervor or cautious of its power, is no longer listening with the same intensity. Sunni-majority nations, even those with significant Shia populations, have largely resisted Iran's ideological overtures, prioritizing national interests and stability over revolutionary solidarity. The geopolitical landscape has shifted, leaving Iran's revolutionary paradigm increasingly anachronistic. The appeal of a revolutionary model has waned in a region increasingly focused on economic development and pragmatic statecraft. Khamenei may still retain absolute control over the internal affairs of Iran, his grip on power within the nation seemingly unshakable. However, his regional influence, the very cornerstone of his foreign policy, is demonstrably waning. The strategic depth he sought to build has been compromised, and the ideological appeal of his revolution has diminished. The twilight of his reign is marked by a profound and growing isolation, a stark contrast to the expansive ambitions that defined his leadership. This isolation is not merely diplomatic but also strategic and ideological, challenging the very foundations of Iran's post-revolutionary foreign policy. From the opulent monarchy of the Shah to the fervent revolution of Khamenei, from the devastating war with Iraq to the intricate web of proxy power, and now to the profound isolation of its supreme leader, this is the complex, often tragic, arc of modern Iran. It is the story of a nation that sought to fundamentally remake its region, to export its unique vision of Islamic governance, and in doing so, finds itself increasingly alone, grappling with the consequences of its choices. The trajectory of Iran's foreign policy, driven by revolutionary ideals, has led to a unique geopolitical position, now facing unprecedented challenges. The future of Iran, and indeed the Middle East, hangs in a delicate balance. Will this period of isolation force a re-evaluation of its foreign policy, or will it lead to further entrenchment? The answers will shape not only the destiny of the Iranian people but the stability of a volatile region. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for political analysts, policymakers, and students of international relations alike. This is History Unburied, where forgotten truths and unfolding futures collide. Engage with this critical analysis. Share your insights in the comments below. What do you believe are the most significant implications of Iran's growing isolation for regional stability and international relations? How might this shape the future of the Middle East? Subscribe to History Unburied for more in-depth explorations of the forces that shape our world, and join our community as we continue to unearth the past to understand the present.